It really was when I was going through the dark night of my soul, my depression, when I first started to get signs from my angels and from my dead loved ones. Honestly, that's when, because it was so unbelievable to me at the time. Because again, I didn't grow up with, we didn't talk about this stuff. This wasn't real to me. But if my grandma said, I'm going to send you an owl today. And I'm like, okay, great. And then fast forward, I have a client 8 hours later who brought me this something like a painting, but it was an owl painting. And it was so amazing. And I looked at her, I'm like, why did you feel? She's like, I don't know. I'm an artist and I felt like you needed this owl. And when I was so deeply grateful for that sign and that to become a reality, it was just this profound gratitude for A, that this was all real and possible, but B, that I had such an amazing team and spirit who was looking out for me. And honestly, if you ask anyone who knows me, I've been doing this for 24 years, I am just as giddy and excited about my signs that happened today as I was back then.
Stay connected to gratitude. Hit the follow button right now and join thousands of listeners tuning in each week. We're the Gratitude Seekers. Come join us. Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Our guest from today is an internationally acclaimed best-selling author, spiritual medium, and speaker that has advised such Hollywood stars as Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox Arquette. I'm a really big Friends fan, and I'm so excited to know this about her. And we just talked a little bit about this before going live, and the fact that she got to meet these kinds of incredible people and work with them. She has made it her mission to open the line of communication between the spirit world and our day-to-day world. Her incredibly accurate and detailed readings have amazed and empowered clients and led Rebecca to national media appearances on the Dr. Oz show, E! News specials, Fox and Friends, Dr. Phil, Entertainment Tonight, and many, many others. She has written 3 books: Spirited, Awaken the Spirit Within, and What the Dead Have Taught Me About Living Well. I'm really excited and a bit nervous to have Rebecca Rosen on the Gratitude Podcast. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. And I just want to say I've written 3 books, but I'm launching my 4th book right now, and it's called What's Your Heaven? And that comes out on March 28th. So very excited.
Yeah, perfect. So I wanted to keep that for when we get into the details.
So here's psychic me jumping ahead.
Yeah. You knew I was about to say something about that.
I did.
So you went ahead and yeah. So we're gonna speak about this new book as well. I'm sure many of our listeners already read some of your books at least, and I'm excited as well to first to speak about your new book and about you. Firstly, tell us more a little bit about you.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to. So, when I was born, I wasn't aware I had this gift of being a psychic medium. Okay. I was 20 years old before I had this realization. And so naturally, it came as quite a surprise. And a lot of people are curious, if they have their own ability as well. And the bottom line, what I've realized is we are all born with the gift of intuition and psychic ability. And it really comes down to if you're willing to acknowledge it and then work with it. It's a practice, it's a muscle, and you have to trust it and you have to learn how to use it. And so the way this began for me when I was 20, I was in college at the University of Florida, and I was studying advertising, very far from spiritual work, right? And
Definitely.
what happened was I was going through a depression at the time. My dad at that time had attempted suicide. And needless to say, I was far away from home and my parents were protecting me by not sharing what was going on. But I was sensing it intuitively, and it was disrupting my sleep. And I started to sleep eat. Okay. So literally every night for 6 months, I would sleepwalk into the kitchen and I would just start eating. And needless to say, I felt very out of control. And what was going on is I was stuffing my feelings with food. And because in my conscious state, I tried to keep it together and be in control. But in my unconscious state, I felt overwhelmed and scared. And that was my drug of choice. And so, long story short, I started praying. And, I was raised in a conservative Jewish household, but not religious at all. But I did believe in something bigger, call it God or source or universe. And so I just started praying, and I was desperate for help to sleep through the night and to find peace again. And so one day I was at a bookstore and I was just journaling. I've always used journaling as therapy for me. And I was writing about my feelings. And then all of a sudden, this energy started talking to me. I could hear it in my mind's voice faster than I could write it. But for an hour, this energy, which turned out to be a combination of my guardian angel and my dead grandmother. And they started talking through my writing. And it's called automatic writing. But at the time, I had no idea what was happening. And so they were saying, we're here in response to your cries for help, your prayers at night. And we want to help you understand what's going on and how to help yourself. And really what was going on. So my grandma Babe had taken her own life 10 years before that. So mental illness ran in my family. And naturally in that moment, I thought, well, maybe I was losing it. But she gave me really specific evidence. It was her. 3 things nobody would know. So she said, I know you think you're making this up. I want you to leave this, go call your father and ask him if this is true, and we'll meet again in the journaling state. So needless to say, I called my dad. He could not believe. I knew one of the things she told me was how he found her and details about the scene when she took her life that nobody knew. And so he was convinced I was talking to his dead mother. And so what happened from there, she said, I want you to do the work on a mind, body, spirit level. Your guardian angel and I are going to give you a program to do to heal yourself from the inside out so that you find inner peace and self-love and self-worth internally. And then you're able to, in a sense, show up and pay that forward to others. So for 18 months, every day, I journaled, I meditated, I prayed, I did yoga. I basically was doing this program they told me to do. I practiced my gratitude. I would make lists of things I was grateful for, all of it. And for 18 months, it worked. I found peace. And my first book, Spirited, it's like a memoir meets self-help, like how for others to do this for themselves. And so she said at the end, she said, I'm so proud of you. Now you get to go use this gift to help others. And I thought, no way. There's no way I'm telling people I talk to dead people. And she said, I want to tell you, like, to confirm that this is real and true. You're good. She predicted my future husband at the time. She told me his exact name. Well, she told me his name is Ryan. She said, he's going to give you a rose and you'll know it's him by that. It's a clue. And she said his birthday is September 24th. I channeled all this in my journaling, 9/24. Well, fast forward a few months after that, when I was in a really healthy, healed place, my mom introduced me to this man she had met, and I was back home from school for the summer. And his name on our second date, it hit me. His name wasn't Ryan, but it was Brian. And then I thought, I wonder what his birthday is, because this is back in 1999. So it's not like you could just Google people or look on Facebook. And so his name was Brian. And I thought, Ryan, Brian, close enough. His last name, it hit me, was Rosen. So you drop the N, it's Rose. And so I asked him on our second date, is your birthday September 24th? And he looked at me, he's like, are you stalking me? He's like, yes, actually it is. Well, that was when everything shifted. I was like, wow, I am not making this up. This is real. This is amazing. And so from that day forward, my grandma said, look, you're not supposed to go into advertising. You can try, which I did. I was stubborn. And for 6 months, I tried to get a job in advertising and I couldn't. The universe was closing doors to open the door to doing this work. And finally, I found the courage to set up shop in a coffee shop. And I started doing readings. And sure enough, one by one, it was blowing people's minds. And I was able to connect to their angels and their departed loved ones and bring deep healing and guidance that they needed, just like I needed it. So that's how this journey began.
Wow. An amazing story. And yeah, I can only imagine what you went through and how it felt for you and how amazing it was for you. It's wow.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps.
Yeah, right. I know. It was truly divinely guided. Once I surrendered and I stopped, so many of us on a mind level, we have an idea of what our life should look like or how things should be, right? That's the ego. But on a soul level, once I surrendered and said, dear God, dear guides, use me. I am here to be an instrument for you. That is why we are here. We're here to show up and share our gifts. And once I got out of my own way and surrendered my ego's desire to my soul's, everything started to flow. And so it's a great reminder for all of us, if you're seeking what your purpose is to stop trying to force it or control it, but truly pray and ask Spirit and your guides to show you.
If you have a headache or feel tired constantly, clean air can be the solution. And in theory, if you want more clean air, you just open the windows, right? Well, not quite. Pollution in general and noise pollution in particular make it a much less desirable option for most of us. But here comes Air Doctor. Air Doctor helps us and our family enjoy cleaner air with fewer odors and better sleep. It uses a 3-stage filtration system that captures particles about 100 times smaller than what most air purifiers can handle. Stuff you definitely don't want floating around your home. We're talking dust, pollen, mold spores, pet dander, wildfire smoke, even bacteria, viruses, odors, ozone, and VOCs, all the invisible things you'd rather not be breathing in every day. And here's the best part. It's whisper quiet. You don't get that constant loud fan noise that so many air purifiers have, so you can sleep or work peacefully. Air Doctor also has an auto mode, which means it's constantly adjusting to keep air clean 24/7. You don't have to think about it. And when it's time to change the filter, it reminds you, so there's no guesswork. 98% of Air Doctor customers say their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier. It's no surprise Air Doctor won Newsweek's Reader's Choice Award for Best Air Purifier. Head to airdoctor.com and use promo code GRATITUDE to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, plus a 3-year warranty. An $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctor.com. That's airdoctorpro.com using promo code GRATITUDE.
Wow. This is just wonderful. And I think especially nowadays, all of the things that are going on, many of us feel lost. We don't know what's going on, what's going to happen. So many of the things that we couldn't even imagine that would happen, like to have a pandemic, to have a war going on in the civilized world. that's something that we wouldn't have thought about a few years ago that we would experience in our lifetime, and still we are.
And we are. And what I've noticed the last several years, especially, during the pandemic, was that it forced us into a universal timeout that allowed us all to take a step back and honestly reevaluate our lives. And, I noticed this pattern, and I still notice it, of client after client coming to me at a crossroads in their life. They're seeking guidance and clarity and insight from spirit to make sense of the why behind all of this chaos happening on the planet, or the why behind their own personal struggles, whatever that might be. Maybe it's a lack of purpose. They woke up and realized, I'm not fulfilled in my job or in my relationship, or my life choices. And so there's always a gift, right? You can find the gift or the silver lining in anything if you step back and you stop saying why, rather you say, what is this here to teach me? Okay. Because that takes you out of victim and it puts you in a more empowered place. Like, okay, there is a gift in this. And that's where gratitude comes in. Trying to focus on what is positive or what is right versus all the other things we could give our energy and attention to. But that puts us back in the driver's seat and allows us to co-create our life rather than feeling powerless or like a victim to all. Because the truth is, there's a lot of darkness on the planet. There's a lot of negativity, as you just spoke to. But it's up to us on, do we want to give our energy to the fear and the shadow, or do we want to, align with the light? And every day we have that choice. So that really is what this book is about.
Exactly. I love it. And like you just said, we have this choice, and we have every day this opportunity to choose one or the other. And even though sometimes it's not that easy to choose light, even though it's the rational thing to do, we can still do that. And there are some things that we can do to help us do that, right?
Exactly. Just this morning I was journaling and my guides came through and I started channeling my team in spirit. And they were saying, every day you have a choice, and focus on one thing that you are authentically grateful for. And feel that, just really sit in it, because there's so many things we could be unsettled or uncomfortable with. But if you can shift, because the idea is if you can just focus on that one thing that brings you a sense of inner peace and joy and gratitude, you change your vibration. And from there, you become a magnet, right? And then it builds momentum. And then from there, you attract in more things to be grateful for, which determines the quality of your day and your life.
Exactly. And what I love to think about is the contrast of this. Like when we have something that's bothering us, that it could be just one thing that didn't go right, or one fight, or something that we keep focusing on. We can focus on that quite a lot, and we can think about it and relive it so many times, and we tend to attract similar things and have certain experiences of that sort that are attracted to us. And when we think about that, I think it helps us see that actually we can do the reverse as well. We can choose one thing and really be authentically grateful for that. And I love the fact that you said that one thing, because when we go deeper into that gratitude, it doesn't have to be like, okay, 10 or 20 things that we just write down, but the fact that we have just one thing that we really focus on and we are really grateful, that's enough to change our mood, our vibration, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Because there's so much we can't control, but we can always control how we choose to feel. And like you said, you can focus on all the negative thoughts and feelings, but whatever you focus on expands. That's just the simple law of attraction. And so you want to catch yourself and stop and cancel, and then shift it, flip it to the affirmative, the positive. And because again, it becomes a snowball effect where you think one thing and then it builds momentum. And so we always have that choice. But you're right. Sometimes it feels overwhelming, and sometimes we feel like we don't. We feel like a victim. But that's the first sign you recognize you've disconnected from your higher self and from source. Okay. And, in this book, I wrote What's Your Heaven? I have 7 lessons. And one of the lessons, the very first one, is that it's all about I am connected. And it comes back to we all are divine sparks of source energy. That's how we're all one and all connected. That is our divinity within us. And so it's coming back to the remembering we are human. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And we all have an personality and an ego. And so that is that separate self. However, the truth of who we are is the soul self. That's what's eternal. And if you can come back to that knowing that you are connected and then use your spiritual tools to plug in, then you start to remember that all the rest is an illusion. All of the fears and the ego, what we're just talking about, these negative feelings, it might feel very real in that moment, but only love is real. That's the Course in Miracles teaching, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just remembering to come out of the illusion and delusion and say, dear God and guides, angels, help me attune to the light, to love, to source. And that's, it can be as simple as that. And then you might start to feel a little bit lighter and you start to feel your way up that scale of feelings, of emotions to a higher place. And that's how you build this practice.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that you also gave us something very concrete that we can do when we are in a lower state at one point. And I love the fact that we have this opportunity to go in steps and we don't have to force things too much, because when we are there, it's really hard to see a way out and to feel a way out. And just taking it step by step is the best way to go about it. So I'm very curious. I want to get back to something that you mentioned in the beginning about doing certain spiritual practices, and I was wondering when you first got gratitude, really experiencing it yourself and understanding it on a deep level.
If you have a headache or feel tired constantly, clean air can be the solution. And in theory, if you want more clean air, you just open the windows, right? Well, not quite. Pollution in general and noise pollution in particular make it a much less desirable option for most of us. But here comes Air Doctor. Air Doctor helps us and our family enjoy cleaner air with fewer odors and better sleep. It uses a 3-stage filtration system that captures particles about 100 times smaller than what most air purifiers can handle. Stuff you definitely don't want floating around your home. We're talking dust, pollen, mold spores, pet dander, wildfire smoke, even bacteria, viruses, odors, ozone, and VOCs, all the invisible things you'd rather not be breathing in every day. And here's the best part. It's whisper quiet. You don't get that constant loud fan noise that so many air purifiers have, so you can sleep or work peacefully. Air Doctor also has an auto mode, which means it's constantly adjusting to keep air clean 24/7. You don't have to think about it. And when it's time to change the filter, it reminds you, so there's no guesswork. 98% of Air Doctor customers say their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier. It's no surprise Air Doctor won Newsweek's Reader's Choice Award for Best Air Purifier. Head to airdoctor.com and use promo code GRATITUDE to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, plus a 3-year warranty. An $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctor.com. That's airdoctorpro.com using promo code GRATITUDE.
It really was back when I was going through the dark night of my soul, my depression, and when I first started to get signs from my angels and from my dead loved ones, honestly, that's when, because it was so unbelievable to me at the time. Because again, I didn't grow up with, we didn't talk about this stuff. This wasn't real to me. But if my grandma said, I'm going to send you an owl today. And I'm like, okay, great. And then fast forward, I have a client 8 hours later who brought me this something like a painting, but it was an owl painting. And it was so amazing. And I looked at her, I'm like, why did you feel? She's like, I don't know. I'm an artist and I felt like you needed this owl. And when I was so deeply grateful for that sign and that to become a reality. And it was just this profound gratitude for that this was all real and possible, but B, that I had such an amazing team and spirit who was looking out for me. And honestly, if you ask anyone who knows me, I've been doing this for 24 years, I am just as giddy and excited about my signs that happened today as I was back then. I get so excited because just the other day, I had the most amazing sign. And I was in a meditation and my guides were saying, with this book, I've put my heart and soul in it. And I said, look, I'm putting it in God's hands. Whoever needs this now, I asked Spirit to make them aware and bring them to the book. And they said, we're going to show you a very clear license plate today to validate you've been heard. And you've already won. You've done your work. It's between you and Source or you and God. And I'm like, thank you. Well, an hour later, I had to go pick up my daughter somewhere. And my angels show me my birthday on license plate, which is 6/28, June 28th. And whenever I see that, and right now on my clock here, it is 8:26. That's really funny as I'm telling you this story. That is my birthday backwards. But anyways, they show me that as a pat on the back, hey, we are with you. We are proud. You're on the right track. Keep going. Okay. Well, I end up behind a license plate. It was WON 1/6/28. So it's the little things, right? I got so excited. I'm like, thank you. Because when we get excited, when we are grateful, sincerely from our heart, grateful, Spirit, that energy that's what creates miracles. That puts you in a high vibration of miracle consciousness. And then Spirit's like, oh, this works. It's not a waste of our energy trying to give signs or download, divine guidance, because that vessel, meaning you, the human, is receptive and available. And so I get excited because it's my job to share it with your listeners right now. If you're feeling down and you need a reason to believe, or you need to feel gratitude. It's one thing to think it from your head. It's another to be able to drop into your heart and authentically feel it. Ask Spirit, ask your team, which we all have a team. And that's another lesson in the book, because every one of us, before we're born, we say, hey, I need a team of enlightened beings to support me through this life journey, because it's hard sometimes. And so we need that team in place. Well, we all have it. It's just a matter of opening up to it and then getting to know your team and then asking, show me today one thing that will shift me from doubt or powerlessness or whatever you're going through, to give me a piece of hope just throw me a breadcrumb, whatever it is. And I promise you it works. You will get that. And it can show up in a variety of ways. It could be another person saying the right thing at the right time, or, you having a dream, or you getting a sign, finding an object like a penny or a feather, or seeing your birthday numbers, wherever that might be. So for everyone, that might be different. And for me, it varies day to day. But spirit will work with you if you open yourself up.
Definitely. And I love it so much. And I can feel your gratitude. I can feel your excitement. And it's very similar to my experience, in the sense that the first time I actually experienced gratitude, like on a really deep level, it felt like that. It felt like something very exhilarating, like everything was new, everything was pulsating, was vibrating. And for me, it was really interesting that nothing changed on the outside, but I was seeing things quite differently. And another thing that I wanted to share is that I was thinking about the quote from Einstein, I believe, that we saying that we can live as nothing is a miracle, or that everything is a miracle. So
I love that quote. Yes.
Yeah, I think it fits perfectly to what you just shared. We can either be skeptical and think, oh, it might work for her, or I don't know, it might be just her thinking that things are connected, or we might really get excited, that these things are going on, and that there are people like you that can see them, and we can learn as well to get to see them and to get to experience them more often. And just this idea that we have a team that's there for us. I don't know for how it is for our listeners, but for me at least, it's so comforting, so soothing somehow, knowing that they are there. And even if I might feel alone in some moments, I'm actually not alone, and I'm guided, and there's someone there for me.
Exactly. You are never alone, and energetically speaking. And it's truly a matter of suspending doubt and disbelief long enough to open up to the possibility. And then you let spirit in. And then from there, they can help you feel comforted, or again, physically reveal something to you to give you that aha moment to remember you aren't alone. And spirit really is there to support your journey. It's pretty amazing. But it comes down to, choosing, do I wish to view life through the lens of love or fear? Right?
Yeah.
And that's a choice we can make every day. I mean, trust me, I wake up, there's days I'm tired or I'm worried about something. Like I too am having the same human experience. But I've done this long enough that I catch myself faster and faster. And so like I'll say, time out. I need to go into prayer and ask spirit to help me see through the lens of love, faith, and trust, and shift out of anxiety, worry, doubt, and fear. And so I literally close my eyes and I ask my guides, help me see through God's eyes or through my higher self's eyes. And then I come out of that and I go about my day, and it does help. You start to see things. Okay, there's a gift in this challenge. What is this here to teach me? Not why is this happening to me over and over?
Yeah, definitely. And it's such a huge shift. It's so much more empowering, and we have a totally different kind of life experience when we make this switch. And I believe that we all need to have this kind of experience to know how it is to feel empowered, to know that we are not victims, and we can do things to improve where we are right now. But also there are a lot of things that we can be grateful for in this exact moment, when we might think that there are some things that aren't great in our life or that aren't going the way we wanted them to go. And I also wanted to get to another fundamental lesson that you speak about in the book, worthiness. Why is this the biggest failure in people's life in general?
Yeah, worthiness is absolutely the number one thing. Honestly, most people on some level struggle. It's interesting. I'll speak to that in 1 second. But my husband, who just reread my book for the third time, he got the hard copy and he's like, long story short, when he got to the chapter 6 on worthiness, he said, I might skip this. I don't think I need it. And then when he read it, he looked at me. He's like, oh my God. That was actually the most important chapter for me. I didn't realize I had issues with worthiness, but at the end of the day, my struggle comes down to a lack of self-worth. And I didn't realize it until I read it. And I give a lot of good stories in there to put it in context for people to relate to. Worthiness is, that's where the ego comes in, because as a soul, we know we are worthy and deserving for just being born, that we are enough, and that our presence, just being that divine spark of light and love is enough. But the human self, the mind, the ego, it goes into judgment, and we are so hard on ourselves, and we get so conditional, and all the shoulds. I should be further along than I am in my life. I should be richer. I should be thinner. I should be funnier. Like whatever it is, it's the I'm not enough of this or that becomes like this thought over and over that becomes a belief. And these are the false beliefs I speak of in the book, that whether it's our own programming, like because we just thought it so much, it's been ingrained, or it was projected onto us, whether by our caregivers when we were little, or our environment, our family, cultural. Like a lot of times it's the epigenetics, like we're born into an environment, a situation around people, and then we adopt their false beliefs. And so it's really about, how do I come back to my truth, that I am worthy, I am deserving, I am enough just as I am, not for what I do or what I give, but for just being me. And that's a big one for people, because we've been conditioned in this 3D earth world that it's your accomplishments, it's your external material success and what you've managed to physically create. That's worthiness. But that could not be further from the truth. Because when we leave this body, when we die and go to the other side, we don't take anything with us. We don't take our portfolio, our bank account. We don't take our job titles, right? We don't take our cars, possessions. We take the love that we are, the love we were able to give and receive, the memories we created to bring more joy and kindness into other people's lives as well as our own. That's what follows us. And that is determining our worthiness, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I have this beautiful gift where I'm able every day to be reminded by the other side, by very enlightened spiritual beings, that what we need to come back to and spend our time and energy on is from the inside out, not the outside in, cultivating more love and kindness and generosity. And that is what is going to add up or matter, and when we get to the other side, no one's judging us. Okay. There's another big misconception that, somebody up there's keeping score. We have a group of angels and guides, a council of elders that we will meet with and do a life review when we die. And my book I wrote is all about, do your life review now while you still have a chance to change it and correct it before you die. And you have to do a life review, because at the end of the day, the only one playing judge and jury is yourself. And you're going to say all the shoulds. I wish I should have done this. I wished I would have done that. And so all these spirits come through saying, Learn the lesson now. Learn worthiness now. I wish I would have known then what I know now. So here is Spirit trying to help us get ahead. So when we do cross over, we don't have to do the work, because when you die, you pick up right where you left off. You can't escape it. And so it's all about, how do you create your heaven on earth now? By doing your homework and making peace with your past and cleaning up the energy of the present, so that you really can live a heavenly life.
I love it. I love it. And for me, this is related quite a lot to gratitude. And with my experience of gratitude, at least, like whenever I'm in the energy of gratitude, it really feels like heaven on earth from many points of view. Like I'm really excited, I'm exhilarated about simple things in many situations, and I love being in that feeling, and it makes so much sense to be there. And for me, this is one of the truths. Of course, alongside love, these are the main things that I believe we all want to and need to experience, to know that we can do this. And it, like you said, it's not related to how many things we do, how many things we have. It's just something that we can experience and we can choose to experience. But I wanted to ask you, how can we get to feel worthy? Just, are there some things that we can do to feel more worthy, or what is there to be done related to worthiness?
Okay, so in the book, I talk about how worthiness is one of my biggest life lessons. And I have a lot of homework to do around this, which I do every day. And I can speak to this personally. A practice that I started doing not too long ago, it came through. I had an energy healing with my healer, Jackie, who I actually talk about in the book. But she was saying, your spirit guides are saying, Rebecca, your worthiness, you're feeling deserving and worthy of receiving financial abundance and support to be able to take care of the people you need to, and to make ends meet and all that, depends on your internal sense of worthiness. You're going to love this. She said, you need to find 3 to 5 things every day that you are grateful for to yourself. It's self-regard, self-honor. And so for the last 6 months, I've been doing this every single day. I make a list of, I either write it out or I speak it out loud. And I say, I am so grateful to myself for how I showed up today in service to others. I am so grateful to myself for how I was patient with my 6-year-old. I am so grateful to myself for how I was generous in giving my time to someone who needed a kind word. Okay, so you list a couple of things that you are grateful for to yourself and how you showed up in love and honor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And yeah, I think it's like I said in a few minutes ago, it's in contrast with what we tend to do. We tend to criticize, we tend to judge ourselves, and you are doing basically the reverse of that. You're doing the contrast of that, isn't it?
Exactly, because what it does is it fills up your havingness cup. So imagine a cup that runneth over, right? With abundance. I'm not just talking about like money. I'm talking about abundance of joy and gratitude and kindness and all of it. Okay. When you can honestly commend yourself and be grateful and appreciative of yourself for having the courage to wake up one more day. And for those who are like in deep grief and really struggling to get out of bed in the morning, that's real. And so just be grateful for not only that you can breathe and that you're alive and healthy and able to get out of bed, but you're grateful for your courage and your willingness to take that next step and embrace your day. So the more you do that, the more you fill that havingness cup, the more the universe reflects that back to you in abundance and gratitude.
Exactly. I love it. I think it's something that's so powerful that we can do each day, and I love things that we can control. Like in many situations, we feel fear because there are so many things that are happening that we can't control, and we just get anxious and fearful, usually about the future or things that are happening that are just not in our control, that we can't do anything about. But this is something that we can do each day. We don't have to wait for anyone to see us one way or another and to give their gratitude to us. Like in many situations, we expect them to. We can give this to ourselves, and I think this is so powerful.
It's so powerful. There's so much we can't control. In fact, we can't control anything outside of ourselves. But like you said, we can control how we choose to feel. And it doesn't mean like there's some realness to a lot of people struggle with mental health issues, right? That's very real. But they can choose with an intention to get the help they need, or to reach out and invite in, whether it's, I call it your ground crew, the people in this world who are there to support you, or their team in spirit. So you can choose to invite that in. And from there, that you can, again, choosing to make choices out of the frequency of light or shadow. That is our free will, God-given birthright.
Yeah. I love this. And it's so simple. It's not easy to do all the time, but it's so simple. And I love simple exercises, simple things that we can do.
And I do too. And I just have to say, I promise if people try this, just try it once. Try it. Yeah. It works. And what gets, like you said, you could feel how excited I get. Because I too totally was skeptical 25 years ago. I was so like, yeah, right. Like journaling, meditating, yoga, this is not going to change it. But it did. But if you get one little sign that it's working, get excited about it. Because that will bring more and more and more signs and reasons to get excited and then to be grateful for. The universe will keep bringing you more.
Exactly. I love that. And yeah, I think it's something so powerful that we have at hand and that can make a huge difference in our life. And like you, I really want our listeners to try it out and just see it for themselves and experience it. And I've experienced one of the things that you talk in the book about, that sixth sense. And I'm curious if you want to expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. This goes back to what I was saying. We are all born with the sixth sense, or the gift of intuition. And, we have our five sensory, we all are born with five senses, physical senses. But this sixth sense it's intuition, which is our internal GPS system. Okay. It's kind of that spidey sense that we all have that may not make sense on paper, but it's a deep knowing or feeling. And that is our internal compass that points us in the right direction. And we find our intuition, our sixth sense, not from our head, but from our heart. So it's all about getting out of the analytical, linear processing and reasoning of the left brain of the mind. And it's about, shifting to right brain, which is the center of intuition and creativity and imagination. And then from that right brain dropping into our heart. So it's that head-heart coherence. And then from there, feeling the truth, because our feelings are our guidance. That's our intuition, much more so than our thoughts. Does that resonate?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But what do we do when we are in the shadow type of feelings? Do we follow them as well?
So I talk about this in the book because I'm not a fan of spiritual bypassing. You can't just love and light it away, shove it under the rug and just like meditate it away. You have to feel what you feel. You have to be real about it. Lean into your shadow feelings, your discomfort, your fear, your anxiety, your worry, your anger. Feel it. Sit with it. Okay. And Dr. David Hawkins, he wrote the book Power versus Force. He wrote many amazing books, but that was one. And in that, he included the scale of consciousness. It's the emotions, right? And I include that in this book because I believe in it so much. But that it's all about, where are you at? Just be honest and real and just be there. Feel it. Because if you lean in, it will naturally dissolve. Okay. It's like a little kid who just is screaming for your attention. It just wants to be heard and seen. And once you just give space to it and let it be, it will naturally go away. And then you'll start to feel a sense of getting a little lighter, more neutral. Neutrality is key. And then from there, you can go into the higher frequencies of gratitude, appreciation, joy, love, peace. And so you really, how do you do it? You just acknowledge it. Okay, I see you. I hear you. But I'm also not going to give my power away to you. And then once you've sat with it, so you got to feel it to heal it. And then you shift your focus to your intention. I choose to feel relief or joy or peace or hope, whatever that is for you. And then lean into that. Okay. And so eventually you're just going to naturally, this becomes kind of your default. You just habitually kind of choose to, lean toward the light versus the shadow.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it makes so much sense. And by just experiencing those emotions, we get to experience the positive ones more fully as well.
Yeah. And something I should add to that is that the emotions are important information. It's guidance. If you're feeling anxiety and fear, that is a gift. And so it's asking yourself, okay, what is this here to tell me, to teach me? It could be like, pay attention. This is your intuition speaking to you with an uneasy feeling that is trying to warn you, don't go down that road at night alone, or don't continue dating that person because they're danger. So again, you want to say, okay, I feel this without judgment. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. What is it here to tell me? And sit with that. And from there, like that screaming, nagging angst or anxiety or worry is, then it's heard and seen. And then you can get the gift from it. And then it will, of course, go away. So that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing these perspectives. They are very useful, and I'm sure that they got to the listeners and to the exact people that needed to hear them. And we are nearing the end of our time together, and I wanted to ask you, when and where can our audience get the book?
Yes, absolutely. So my website, RebeccaRosen.com, has all the links, but it's available at any book retailer, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, you name it. And everything, I offer all sorts of small group readings and large event readings and webinars, and everything that, if this speaks to them, is available on my website, RebeccaRosen.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here with us, for sharing these deep insights, and for being a presence of love and gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you for being such a light into this world.
Hey, Gratitude Seeker, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this interview. I really appreciate it. And if you could think of one person that would also benefit from it, share it with them. It might actually be the inspiration that they need to make their day or maybe even their life much better. Thank you so much once again. This has been Georgian Benta. Don't forget to keep seeking and spreading gratitude.